The house had taken on a strange stillness, the kind of silence that presses too heavily on the walls, too unnatural for a place that once pulsed with the ordinary noise of life. It was well past midnight, and Hannah, my wife, still hadn't come home. A slow, tight coil of unease twisted in my gut, when I kept trying to ignore but couldn't shake. She'd mentioned a work dinner earlier that day, brushing it off with the sort of casual indifference that didn't sit right. There was something rehearsed in her tone, something too polished to clean. I checked my phone again. No calls, no messages, just the cold, glowing screen and that haunting quiet. Each tick of the wall clock sounded louder than it should have, echoing off the dim walls of the living room where I sat still and waiting. Time blurred as the hours crawled forward until finally, just after 2 a.m., I heard the low purr of her engine pulling into the driveway. My heart slammed hard against my chest. Relief flickered quickly, followed by dread. I didn't know what I was hoping for anymore. The front door creaked open. I heard her keys jingle, the soft click of her heels across the hardwood, the slow shuffle of her jacket being removed. She moved like someone not quite sure if they were welcome from the shadows of the living room. I watched her. Her figure stood barely lit by the dull orange glow filtering in from the street lamp outside. She paused by the doorway, uneasy, uncertain. Then I flipped on the light. She froze, her breath hitched, eyes widening like a child caught red-handed. Her usual poise shattered in an instant. She took an involuntary step backward, her face draining of color, lips parting without sound, searching for an excuse that refused to come. "Late night," I said quietly, my voice steady. Too steady, I stayed reclined in the armchair, a glass of scotch balanced in my hand. My eyes stayed on hers, unblinking, waiting. She swallowed hard, the muscles in her throat working against the tension that had turned her voice brittle. "I told you it was a work dinner," she whispered. "I got it," I said simply, raising my glass just slightly. I took a slow sip, letting silence fill the room like smoke. Funny though, most work dinners don't leave lipstick smudges. On another man's collar, her face fell. Her hand instinctively reached up to her throat, brushing over her neck where her own lipstick still lingered faintly betraying her. The air grew heavy, thick with things unspoken, thick with what we both already knew. "Daniel," she began, her voice cracking. I could explain. "Don't." I stood gently placing my glass down on the coffee table, the sound far too loud and suffocating. Quiet. My movements were slow, controlled, but my mind churned like a storm beneath the calm surface. I stepped closer. She retreated a single step backward, as though that single foot of distance could protect her from what was coming. "Don't insult me by pretending there's any explanation. I'll believe." My voice was low, but each word landed with the weight of finality. "Who is he?" She opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. Nothing. Silence again, heavier this time. She looked lost, caught in a moment she couldn't spin her way out of. "I made a mistake," she said finally, the tears spilling faster than the words. "It meant nothing, Daniel. It was stupid. I regret it. You think that makes it better?" My voice had turned sharp now, thin and dangerous like shattered glass. "That it meant nothing to you? That you threw away everything we built?" For a moment, that meant nothing. Her face was stir with tears, mascara bleeding down her cheeks like war paint melting under fire. "Please," she begged. "It was a mistake. We can get past this. I love you." The word hit like a blow. Love. Love wasn't slinking through someone else's door in the dark. Love wasn't crawling back home reeking of another man's cologne. Love didn't lie and deceive and shatter trust so easily. Love was something sacred, and she had torn it apart with the casual cruelty of someone who thought she'd never be caught. I stepped past her and reached for my coat. She watched me with panic in her voice. "Where are you going?" she asked, her voice rising. "Don't wake up," I said without turning. I wandered through the city's deserted streets, retracing the quiet places where our memories once lived. I passed the park where she first told me she loved me, the bakery where we used to get breakfast on Sundays, the corner where we danced drunk in the rain. Each one stabbed a little deeper. The betrayal festered, raw and blistering. But somewhere, in the deep hours before sunrise, my grief began to twist into something else, something sharper. Purpose. She had broken something precious. But if she thought she could leave me shattered, she hadn't understood who she married. She could burn down our life and walk away without consequence. She was wrong. When I returned home, the house was silent. Whether she was sleeping or pretending didn't matter. I had a plan to craft. In the weeks that followed, I played the role she needed me to play, the husband who was hurt but hopeful, the man who might forgive. I told her I needed time, that maybe we could heal. I even went to therapy with her, listened to her tears, her apologies, her guilt-laced promises. I held her hand, I wiped her tears, all while carefully constructing her downfall. I started gathering evidence, every careless text message, every email trail, photos she didn't delete, receipts she forgot to hide. She had underestimated me. She thought I wouldn't dig. She thought I'd just swallow the lie and move on. Then, I called a lawyer. I'd always been cautious, methodical. Most of our major assets were in my name, a choice I'd made long before I ever suspected betrayal. It turned out to be one of the smartest decisions I'd ever made. And the prenuptial agreement, ironclad. But the final piece, that was the most satisfying. His name was Matt, her colleague, arrogant, married. I never confronted him. But that would have been too easy. Instead, I found his wife, collected everything I had, and sent it anonymously, neatly packaged. Let her deal with him. Then I waited. The night I had planned arrived quietly a Saturday. Suggested a dinner party with friends, something intimate. Hannah was quick to agree. She thought I was trying. She wanted to prove she was, too. She wore her favorite dress, cooked her best meal, smiled with perfect poise as our friends arrived. She had no idea she was dancing on the edge of a blade. Halfway through the evening, as laughter drifted over, clinking wine glasses, I stood. With a toast to new beginnings, I said, lifting my glass. Hannah smiled, nodded. Here, here. And to honesty, I added, my voice calm and composed. Her smile wavered, just a flicker, but she recovered quickly. I let the silence stretch. I have something I'd like to share, I said, still holding my glass. A story really about love and betrayal. The room grew still, faces turned toward me, curious. Hannah's went pale. She tried to speak, but I raised a hand. Let me finish, I said. Evenly, the woman I spent the last 10 years of my life with had secrets. While I was building a life for us, she was exploring other options. But don't worry, I turned toward her. Now I've taken care of everything. The legal documents are filed, assets are secured, and your private affair no longer so private. Matt's wife sends her regards. The silence in the room became a wall of ice. Our friends looked away, embarrassed, stunned. Hannah crumpled, her face collapsing under the weight of truth. Tears spilled again, desperate and raw, but I felt nothing. She had made her choice. The guests left soon after, murmuring awkward goodbyes as they stepped into the cool night. Hannah tried to talk, to beg, to explain, but I didn't listen when she finally packed her things and walked out of that house. I felt no grief, no rage, just quiet. It wasn't the ending I had imagined for our marriage, but it was the one she had earned. As I sat alone in the stillness, the soft hum of the night returning to the walls around me, I realized something profound. I was free. Free to rebuild, to rediscover, free to find someone who understood loyalty, who'd never confused love with convenience or passion with recklessness. And this time, I would accept nothing less.